they want them to be held open at all times.
So it's basically a big magnet with an electronic device hooked up, okay?
That releases
Correct.
it.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah, a lot of hospitals have the same scenario throughout their building too, where those doors would be held open, and in the event of a fire, they would close, to keep the building secure and stop the spread of the fire.
And also the install and secure windscreen temporary, on the temporary fence. What
Yep.
happened there? What's,
So that was, we decided that we wanted to add that over at Chippewa High, around the temporary fence that we have, where the stadium entrance that we're working, kind of, block some of the view of construction, if you will. Make it a little more aesthetically pleasing for sports and football games and stuff like that while we work.
okay, so that wasn't actually in the original bid or what?
Correct, correct.
What's going on over there? That's been sitting, yeah, I mean, nothing's been happening for a while, though.
Yeah, we're working with the insurance company right now. That all collapsed during a storm, so the insurance company sent out a structural engineer to review what happened there. So we're just working through that process. We're really shut down until we get that resolved.
So-
I put the windscreen on there because it was an attractive nuisance, and we wanted to make sure we kind of hid that from what's going on until we start up again.
Yeah.
How soon are we gonna get an answer?
Well,
We just got a copy of the report last Thursday, so we're going through that right now and trying to figure out what the next step is.
I mean, for me, you probably just could have said we're dealing with the insurance company.
I-
We know how that works.
It's taken us a while to get to this point. I mean, we were ready to rebuild it. They wanted us to stop, make sure we got multiple quotes to replace the work. And then once we got that, then they sent us a report, say, here's what our findings are. So we're just kind of working our process through as fast as we can.
Now, is that
We
the,
hold like everything offsite for safety reasons.
is that the spot where we were going to replace one of the steel beams that we approved a few meetings back?
That's where that steel archway was going to be added between the two masonry piers, yeah.
Okay.
That was part of that.
Don't let the insurance company.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to read the whole report. It's 20-some pages long. It's pretty in-depth, so.
Are they gonna cover anything?
I would hope so. We feel it was because of other damage. It's all.
You got winter coming, and I don't wanna get the city now.
We are ready to start as soon as we get the thumbs up to start. We got a contractor, we got a new contractor lined up. We've got the brick, we had to find new brick now because that was, the brick that collapsed, that was the last run of that brick, so we had to find another matching brick to match the high school, so we got that on order. We are ready to go. We're just in a waiting pattern right now.
Is there a way just to get it done and have the insurance company reimburse?
We can get going with it. I just don't know. I've never had to go through this with an insurance company before. I don't want to put the district at risk that we go do it and they don't claim it, or that we don't follow the proper procedures with them.
Well, Scott, you probably deal with it more often.
So the insurance company that we're dealing with is our insurance company.
Yeah.
The issue is this builder's risk or not? And what the structural engineer has determined is that they don't believe it is. They believe it was built incorrectly. So there's an issue right now between who built it and who's gonna pay. So again, it's,
Can we get it rebuilt and then argue that out later?
well,
It sounds like it's gonna go to court.
it may or it may not.
But I don't
The-
wanna hold
the-
up.
What we've discussed is the insurance company would like us to contact the original installer and have them rebuild it at their cost.
Do they have a bond?
Yes.
So could you go to the bond?
So that's what our insurance company wants to do, is get a commitment from them so that they can go to their bond. Yes. So the process takes time. It's not something that can turn around like that. There are a lot of different players involved in this, and that's something that we're dealing
How
with.
much money is involved in the foundation?
It's not just, it's rebuilding the entire structure. So you're looking at over $100,000.
But is it being built more than, reinforced more than originally was designed?
That's.
Yes.
So
What
the
we-
contractor didn't design it, he just installed it, so how much was his work?
Well, rather than getting into the issues of what the structural engineer identified, that's what the issue is. It was not built correctly.
Can you send us with
I can. If you want the 20-page report, yeah, I can send it to you guys.
Just email it.
Okay. That can be done.
I won't belabor it.
We were anxious to do it too, because we were hoping to have this thing under construction
No
already.
one's gonna understand it out there.
But, yeah, I
No.
think it's a difference of opinion of what's going on, so, yeah, we have to share the report. They don't want the report shared out to too many people right now, so, but I'm sure we can share it with you and, let you read it and digest it.
I'm not gonna give it to you.
Okay.
We agree? Confidential. I'll give it to you.
Yeah, it's,
Actually, I keep on forgetting to turn that up.
Thank you.
What, so the uninterruptible power source, is that a generator, or what's an interruptible power source versus uninterruptible?
it's basically batteries. What your technology closets right now, they have batteries in there, so that if you lose power, the phone systems will work for temporarily, your networks won't drop off immediately.
Right.
They just kind of keep running. So what we're doing is we're just piggybacking on that. Sorry if I'm speaking. We're just piggybacking onto the technology closet so that, because what happens is you get a small little glitch in the power right now, it drops off for a second, fraction of a second. It automatically sends a trouble to the alarm system because it should tell you lost power and you should check things out. It's just creating a lot of false alarms they're nuisance alarms that if you don't go in there and reset them, and if it happens on a Saturday and you don't reset them, it just keeps creating nuisance alarms to the point of.
I have one at home. I have a small one.
Yeah, I got one now. I know what you're talking about now. Got one too.
It's just,
Those
it's
little
just,
CPU
Madison is always shutting it off. Like, for seconds, hopefully no more, but it just goes right over the battery.
And all of our UPSs are connected to the building generators, so if there is a longer power outage, it should keep all of that system up and running. Just to stop that.
Any other questions on the change order summary report?
I do have a question, but not on this.
All right, the next item are the high school scoreboards, football field scoreboards. As we've discussed in multiple meetings, this is the motion to purchase the two scoreboards, one at each high school. As you look through, they're identical scoreboards, same cost, same everything outside of obviously the name that goes on them. This is the purchase of just the scoreboards. The installation process of this is going to be bid in our next bid packet, which is bid pack 5. And that will be bid out, I think, sometime in October, I believe. Bid,
Yeah, we will get drawings to put out the bid at the end of October, we'll be taking bids in November.
Okay.
And come to the board for award in December.
so any of the costs for installation of the scoreboards will be done through the bid. The scoreboard purchases are done through the cooperative bid, the Omnia cooperative bid. And this is something that we have proposed on the board agenda tonight. There is at least a 7-month lead time on these scoreboards. So we're hoping to get these ordered and set as soon as possible so that we can get the scoreboards in. And when they come in, obviously, then we can discuss when we're going to start the construction of this.
These are showing like replay. We've never had that before.
So the structure of yes and no. Yes, we had the option to replay, but it's never really worked at Chippewa Valley High School.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Right. So we have had it, it just hasn't, I believe, ever worked the way we thought it would. These will work. And
They're
then,
different technology.
correct. And then the other nice part about these scoreboards are if by chance the the display doesn't work like at Chippewa Valley High School, it affects the score and everything, you can't see it. The score, the time, and everything is separate from the video replay screen, which I think is a positive too.
Okay, I see you have a 5-year warranty.
Correct.
Is that parts and labor or?
That's parts, labor is gonna be done through the bid process. So that typically is a year? Is that what typically, so the labor,
I mean, on the actual scoreboard, it says 5-year warranty.
so right, so the scoreboard is basically, warranty on the scoreboard.
For parts.
Yep,
Only 1 year 1 year for audio,
Yep,
5-year parts coverage for something.
yep.
But that doesn't cover the labor to fix it?
So the labor to fix it, or the labor of the install? There's two different types of labor.
Not the install.
Okay.
I'm talking about the labor fixing the scoreboard mechanism goes down.
So I don't know that deep of the detail of that. I can find out. My guess is probably 5-year, well, it says parts coverage. So I don't know if that's to replace it. I'd have to find out. That's a good question, Ken.
Well, how long have we had the other one Chippewa? Has it been 14 years or something?
We've been debating that for a while. I think it's,
I mean, I
was it
remember-
installed in 2009? Does that sound right? Or am I,
It was before, earlier than that, because I think we ordered it when I was still here in 2008.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking Jake was playing, I think he's just going into his, start playing football in Chippewa back then, so. I don't
We
remember
haven't
the
ordered it
scoreboard.
since I left.
Somewhere in there, 9 or 10.
And it hasn't worked since then, has it?
not the way it was intended?
Yeah.
Correct.
Why, and I don't want to be critical, but what did you think putting this together is different? We're not gonna have, well, and everybody's gonna worry about it being out of date in 1985. So, new model coming out tomorrow.
This is a local company. The Chippewa Valley one is a Florida company. We purchased the one that they wanted,
Be back then.
correct. This is local. I think we have more success with Daktronics. Daktronics is a very reputable company. Actually, I think there's only two types of, isn't there just two scoreboard vendors out there locally?
There are a couple other ones, but
Okay.
I'd say Daktronics is a tier one. There's maybe another tier one, we get a lot of tier two, tier three scoreboard. A lot of indoor scoreboards, there's a lot of vendors. Outdoor scoreboards, Daktronics is the best in town because of their service and sales department. They back up what they sell.
Didn't we just buy one for the baseball?
Yes, all the new ones, the baseball and softball that we did a year or so ago, and then all four of the middle schools all got Daktronics scoreboards. And that was athletic directors' preferences, and they've been working really well. And we did a competitive bid process, we did get a second bid on all those, and Daktronics was competitive price-wise with the other vendor.
But this was, we said a cooperative.
So we're purchasing it through Omnia, which is a cooperative, a national cooperative, where they provide large-scale purchases are done at a little deeper discount.
But through a local company.
Yeah, right, the local company is Daktronics. They provided pricing through Omnia Cooperative. Yes,
So they're saying you.
we're buying direct,
We're buying quantity here.
right,
Put it all together.
yes.
You're assuming this technology's gonna last for a while?
I sure hope so.
No, I mean that it's not gonna be outdated.
No.
No one wants to use it.
It is LED technology, I guess, it's more advanced
What was
technology.
the other one?
It was more bulbs and ribbons. I mean, if you do on your old, pull apart your old CPU, you had the little ribbons in there connecting things. That's what it reminded me of, my first CPU that I ever bought, and I played around with. This is more digital, it's different way that it's built, so. It really, and it's also what's a better weather tight cabinet. It's not only what the scoreboard's in there, it's, that cabinet at Chippewa High School, we feel there's water getting in there. You can't stop the water from getting in there, where the Daktronics just manufactures a better cabinet too, so we feel that'll also extend your life.
I think all of us have spent more time talking about scoreboards and researching this than any of us wanted to. And again, is this the perfect solution? I think it's definitely the best. I don't know that you'll ever get perfect.
Well, yeah, I know technology changes all the time, but for the years that we've had it, that system's never worked. It's always been,
Properly, right.
And the one at Dakota, they have problems too?
Dakota's problems are starting to get more than what we like. It's actually old, I think it's an older scoreboard than what we have at Chippewa, I believe.
It's about the same
About,
age. It's
so-
roughly the same age, but it's, and that electronics one, that was just worn a lot better and aged a lot better. But yeah, that technology, actually, for about 10 years, it's old technology, and it's hard to get parts. They just don't make these parts forever.
Okay, I've asked enough. It's a big purchase, I just want to make sure.
No, I agree with you on that one. So the two top companies would be the Daktronics and Electromech?
Sorry.
I think that's, if I'm reading that right?
That was who the other, yeah, the store shop, that was the other vendor that they had.
So what's the relationship between Daktronics, Omnia, and Region 4?
So
Those are the three names I was seeing.
Omnia is the
cooperative.
national cooperative.
Okay.
And with a cooperative, basically what it is that they will bid out for items on a national basis, nationwide basis. And by doing so, they will bid out supplies, they will bid out scoreboards, they will bid out many multiple items in which a company who wants to do regional and/or national services, provide those types of services or product, they will submit based upon typically a deeper discount than what you would do if you were to bid it on a local level, onesie, twosie, because they know that they're gonna get, through this cooperative, 100 scoreboards purchased through this cooperative versus Chippewa buying 2.
And Daktronics is the manufacturer
Daktronics is the manufacturer of the scoreboard.
that's being purchased through Omni as a
Right,
group, okay.
right.
What is Region 4? That's another name. What is
Region,
that?
I'm not sure exactly what Region 4's,
They had the 4 apples and then Region 4?
Yeah,
So I don't know. Okay.
I'm not sure.
And if I'm correct, even though we're going through a cooperative, each board's gonna cost a little over $260,000,
That's correct, 262,000.
and we still can't get them for about 7 months, huh? That's crazy. And then I guess getting at the same thing that Mr. Pearl was getting at, I mean, that's a lot of money. And these last boards that were purchased didn't seem to get, there was no value there. So I don't know if we went for the cheap ones last time, or we're going for the decent ones this time, or what's gonna guarantee that that doesn't happen again? You know, another 10 years, which, it's 10 years, but at the same time, it's short when you're talking that much money. What's gonna say that in 10 years, we aren't in the same position, where the boards aren't working, everybody's upset, and we have to purchase them again?
It's technology. So again, technology comes with the inherent requirement to constantly have to look at updating over a certain amount of time.
So you're saying there is no guarantee?
There's no guarantee.
Okay.
I mean, so if you were to purchase a computer, think about purchasing a computer, you know, over the course of time, you are going to have to replace that computer if you want to do similar type products.
Was this something that maybe we helped accelerate by maybe lack of maintenance or something with the last boards? Or was it just that we didn't understand and we got the cheap boards?
We don't know.
Okay.
And the reason we don't know is because, at least with the Chippewa board, we've been having problems with it for years. And again, when it was installed, I believe it worked correctly. And then I think over time, for whatever reason, whether it was a technological issue, whether it was other issues that we don't know about, it began to start failing. And it got to a point where, as components started going down, we don't, because of the age of it, it's very difficult, one, to get parts, and because of where it was built, it's hard to get service because their service people are all in Florida.
And then if I'm right, the company went out of business or something that was,
It was purchased, I think, by another company, yes.
so how long has Daktronics been in business? Or Omni, whoever's gonna be,
Daktronics has been in business for quite a long time. I don't know how many years.
Yeah, and since I started 25 years ago, they were in business. I don't know how much further back they go.
Okay, so they're an older company, they're secure.
Yeah, they've been doing work here in Michigan. I would venture to guess that at least 50% of the scoreboards in Michigan are Tektronix boards. They just,
Okay.
they're a huge market share player. And they don't take that lightly. We call, they answer. That's the biggest thing. You call for service, we're talking about it, we had a little issue happen, they were there within a day or two to fix it. That's what you kind of get. I'm not a salesperson for them.
Yeah.
I've just been through enough scoreboards over time that they're tough things to deal with, and Tektronix, it's gonna give you a better long-term product. It agrees a lot of money, but you're gonna get a better product.
And
So,
better service.
Like
And
you,
better
it sounds like you just said, we're paying a lot of money, but at the same time, we're paying for a better product, so we're doing the best we can do.
I was
Okay.
on record saying that, yes.
But things have,
Okay.
in 10 years, have gone up astronomical.
Well, yeah, but when a company goes out of business and the board never works from the beginning, I mean, that's two problems that
You
should have
don't
been.
buy the same board, you're right.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just, trying to make sure that doesn't happen again, so.
Scott, have you reviewed this with both high schools?
Yes, they have been involved in the process from the beginning.
And are they identical? Because I'm looking at
The price is identical.
but the sound systems are different?
I think there's some tweaks throughout it that are a little different, but for the most part,
Why did that happen? Because that's what they wanted?
it all depends on the type of controls that are at each building. So that they might have different control, different things that make it a little different. But for all intents and purposes, they are identical boards.
So is the whole thing LED? I mean, if you look at it, I mean, is there anything, is like the Chippewa Valley and that's gonna be permanent? The rest of it's LED, or is that all LED too?
I believe it's all LED. Again, you're getting into details that are very details.
It looks like the screen's LED and the fill-in stuff is LED.
Yeah,
The rest of it, I think, because they're looking for your logo and everything. Okay, I've asked enough. Thank you.
Are there any other questions about the scoreboards?
Very, 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 very expensive. Gosh darn, man. I remember when we opened Chippewa's pool, we were talking about $250,000 a year for operations of that pool. But at least it's a pool, and it's open year round. I mean, for me, scoreboard, they use this for other sports too? I mean,
Yes.
Board. So that used more than football season, right? Soccer,
Lacrosse, yep,
uh,
track and field.
I mean, I understand, just it's a sticker shock.
Yeah, remember when we first put the field turf in?
Yeah,
That was $500,000 or something back then.
closer to 900, 950. I just figured, in my mind, I was doing the math, it's 21,000 a year per high school, it's 42,000 years so we can have scoreboards. You figure 12-year existence, right? I mean, it's 42,000, man. So, I just want to make that comment.
Yep. All right, any other questions?
I do have one other question for Barton Mallow. I think it was the last meeting, or whatever, we had approved, the electrical at the work being done in Ottawa. And I requested the details. I still haven't received that. Do you know when you'll get that to me?
I didn't know you wanted the detail, but yeah, we can send the detail over to Scott and we'll get it to you. We'll send it to him tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, any other questions?
I think that's it for me.
All right, I will close the Building and Site Subcommittee meeting at 6:34. I did say that. top and bottom of the boards are different. Top and bottom of the boards are separate. So that if the video doesn't work. Here.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the Chippewa Valley Schools Board of Education meeting for September 12th, 2022. That meeting will begin at 6:39. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item B, additions, deletions, we have none this evening. C, presentation recognition, Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Bednard. This evening, we have representatives from Bard Mallow, who are going to be talking about where our bond has been, a little bit of history, I think, on the 2018 bond, and then kind of bring you up to date with through this summer. So I'll turn it over to our representatives. Mr. Atkins, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. So first what we want to do is give you a little bit of a background of the bond issue.
Hello? Good? Okay, thank you. I'm good now. So we're going to give you a little bit of background of the bond, where it started. I'll just go over a few minutes of that. Then I'm going to turn it over to Mike to let him talk about what we accomplished this summer, what to expect for next summer, and then we'll wrap it up with Angie from Metro Tech talking about the technology, give you an update on that.
Real quick, I need to excuse Jill to make second this evening. Our meeting, and Ms. Polino is in Rob, she'll be here shortly.
Great, thank you. So just a quick overview on the bond. The bond passed back in November of 2018. It was a 5-year program, and it was broken up into 4 major buckets. The first bucket being construction, second technology, then furniture and equipment, and the buses. So in 2019, it was our first year of the bond program, and we didn't have a lot of time to design things as a bond issue. It just passed in November, but we did want to focus on a few things. So the first 2 things we did was put secure entrances over at both of the high schools, and we also took care of a few other high-profile or major priority projects like temperature controls over at all the high schools to improve those. So it was only about $3 million of the work, but it was our first summer working in the district. So then we had time to design it. We really had a bigger summer in 2020. And if you remember the bond issue, really the theme of the bond issue, the focus was on being safer and stronger. It really was a heavy focus on safety and security. So in that summer, that second summer, we really focused on our safety and security projects. And these things included things like putting a secure entrance over at Algonquin and Cheyenne Elementary. We upgraded all the door locks throughout all the districts in the classrooms. We installed impact-resistant glass throughout all the inside of the building. We installed an emergency alert system, and we added some door access card swipe locations. So very heavily focused on those safety and security things. And all this happened during COVID, as COVID first started. So it was a little bit challenging that, but we knew we wanted to implement all the safety and security stuff into the district. The Chippewa has been at the cutting edge of safety and security for all this time, so you've been one step ahead of most other school districts. So that's really a point of pride for you. We've accomplished what we really wanted to with the bond issue. So phase 3, this started to get into more of the nuts and bolts of the bond program, what I call your roof spoilers and parking lots. So we started in the southern end of the district, in the Clinton Township side of things, just because a lot of those buildings were the older buildings, so they needed attention a little bit sooner. But really, there wasn't anything not necessarily out of the ordinary. A couple of the highlight of the projects is we installed the synthetic turf over at Chippewa High School. We did install a couple scoreboards at the middle schools and at the ball fields. But for the most part, it was a lot of roof spoilers and parking lots. It was about $13 million to the work that we put in place over that summer, and everything went very smooth that summer. So phase 4, this is what we went to this current summer, and really what we did is we just flipped to the northern end of the district, working into Macomb Township. And I'm going to turn that over to Mike to give you some updates on that.
Thanks, Jeff. So phase 4 of the 2018 bond happened this summer, 2022. The main focus were the schools on the north side of the district. So we had Cheyenne Elementary, Ojibwa, Fox, and Mohawk, Iroquois and Seneca Middle Schools, Dakota 9th Grade Center, and Dakota High and Chippewa High's in there as well. Which we actually did about $8 million in contracts over this summer. First school, Cheyenne highlights a lot of the work that we did this summer focused on paving and mechanical. We did do some masonry work at Cheyenne and also a full replacement of the fire alarm over there. And I do have a couple pictures of the work at the piers and the final product, which turned out very well. Ojibwa, that consisted mainly of mechanical upgrades there. We had a replacement of a chiller, and then we had some mechanical renovations in the computer lab. And I do have some pictures of the new chiller over there that's up and running and keeping everybody cool. Mohawk, we did do renovations over there as far as asphalt paving was a big one. The electrical work for mechanical, and we're actually in the process of removing and replacing the stage doors there. And there's a few pictures of the parking lots that we resurfaced. Fox Elementary focused a lot on asphalt paving over there, the west and east drive, and the north lot. We did do some exterior doors replacement, and then we did renovate the computer lab over there. And I do have some pictures of that computer lab. The top right is the existing, and the top or the bottom left there is the new. Iroquois was heavy mechanical. We did replace a chiller there. We did some exterior tuck pointing as the west side of that building was pretty bad, so we did some masonry tuck pointing there. And then we resurfaced, or actually seal coated the back lot and restriped that, which are the pictures here. Seneca, there was pretty little work at Seneca, to tell you the truth. We did the west lot, asphalt paved the west lot, which you can see here. And then we did have a little bit of mechanical, some split units in the head end rooms with electrical to support that. Dakota 9th grade was basically just asphalt paving on the south lot, as you can see here. Dakota High, there was some significant construction that went on over at Dakota High. I think the biggest thing was the new stadium entry that we did over there, and the restoration of the baseball and practice football fields, along with some mechanical and asphalt paving over there as well. And I do have some pictures of the new stadium entrance, which turned out really well. And then last but not least, Chippewa Valley High. We are in process of putting a stadium entrance on that school as well. And then we did do some theatrical work in the auditorium.
So the final phase of our work, phase 5, is going into the 5th year of the bond program. So we'll be touching some of the schools that we haven't touched yet, being Clinton Valley and Ottawa. Those weren't done in the first part of it. We've got a little bit of work to do at Shawnee and Sequoia. And then also, we've got some roofing work that we originally were planning on doing this summer, but due to the supply chain, we could not get roofing material this summer, so we had to bump all that work till next year. So we got a lot of roofing work to be done next year to catch up. We also had to do work at Wyandotte. That's the one middle school that we haven't touched yet. And then we're also doing a little bit of work at both of the high schools and the media centers. So just some of the highlights. So at Fox and Mohawk, it's mostly roof replacement. Parts of those buildings, those roofs are starting to see over 20 years. That is a typical life expectancy of a roofing project, is about 20 years. Cheyenne Elementary School is just past 20 years now, so most of that roof is a sloped metal roof, which we don't have to touch, but there are some parts of that roof that are flat. Ojibwa's got a flat roof on there that's getting to be about 20 years old, or actually just over 20 years old now. And then Dakota High School, we built a couple additions on there back in 2002. So those have just turned 20 years old. They are starting to show their age and starting to show some splits that'll start leaking soon. So we've got about 185,000 square feet of roofing that we're going to replace this summer, or sorry, summer of '23. So also looking at Clinton Valley and Ottawa, we've got just a slew of work there. Clinton Valley is your oldest building in the district. I think it's about 60 years old now. Sounds about right, 60 years, almost 60 years old. So it keeps moving along, but there's obviously still work that needs to be done on there. The outside of the building has some doors and some panels that need to be replaced. There's some interior work, some toilet partitions and things that are just have not been replaced in the past that are really just at the end of their life. And same thing, Ottawa. Ottawa's one of your older buildings too. It's got some interior work that needs to be done and some roofing work that needs to be done to keep that building going. And then both those buildings have some paving that needs to be done, each of those buildings. Also, we're doing some work at Wyandotte. Again, we haven't done work there yet. One of the biggest things that we plan to do is we're going to infill the pit in the media center, which will flatten that out, which will give you a lot more flexibility within that media center space. But we're going to do a lot of the same upgrades. We'll do some paving there. We're going to replace the mechanical units that go to the technology closets to make sure that those things stay viable. Little Turtle, we just have a little bit of paving work to do there. We're going to replace the flat part of the roof. That building's getting to be almost 20 years old now also. And then Shawnee and Sequoia, those are two of your newest elementary schools, so we just have some minor upgrade work to be done there. But we are going to be replacing those mechanical units in their technology closets too, just to make sure we protect the investments that are being done in technology. And then at Chippewa Valley High School, these are some of the biggest improvements you probably will see next summer, is the media centers at both of the high schools. This is something that'll be a good educational improvement. We do plan to rehab both of those media centers, take them more from a library space into more of a collaborative space. So the second floor of the building, the Educational Services, has been working with Brian, the architect, for quite a bit on this to reimagine what those spaces could be, start to move away from books, move more into digital technology and how that could be used, how students can be more engaged in those spaces by giving them more spaces to go to. It doesn't have to be a quiet space anymore to just go sit down there and read. It can be more of a space where you sit there and you have interactions of 2 or 3 kids working together on projects and group spaces. So while the media centers at both Dakota and Chippewa are very different in their architecture, we're trying to make sure to implement all the same type of spaces into both of those. So Dakota High School is going to be very, very similar. There'll be teaching walls, there'll be more opportunities for STEM to be taught there, more opportunities for podcasts or digital technology for the kids to record stuff and to use that to create more multimedia type things, use the devices and give them space to use those devices. So those improvements will be probably the most noticeable thing. We'll be happy to report those back to you a year from now once those renovations are done. So that wraps up our preview of what we're doing next summer. Angie, sorry, I didn't see you there, Angie. Angie, give you a little history.
How do I?
That's the center one.
Okay, and I just put it in that.
You point it anywhere, it's good.
Anywhere you want?
Yep.
Okay, technology. Okay, so here's our bond updates for technology. We've done 10 technology projects so far. We have 2 that we're currently working on, the voice upgrades and the printers in collaboration with purchasing. There's a list of everything we've done, so behind the scenes, infrastructure, security, classroom, computer labs. Computer replacements in the classroom. We've done laptop carts for the middle schools, the elementary schools. For the elementary schools to hold the one-to-one devices, teachers have gotten new desktops, the computer lab computers have been replaced, as well as the CAD machines, the higher-end CAD machines for the CTE labs. For the interactive classrooms, we did the smart boards. I don't have pictures, but there's one right there. That's what they look like. We also supplied Surface Go's for the teachers to use with the smart panels or on their own. And the teacher microphones for the classroom, we replaced those. For the administrators and office staff, so it's not just the classrooms, we replaced the administrator desktops as well as laptops, and then the IP phones in the offices, those have been replaced and upgraded as well. Security, as Barton Mallow was saying, this was a big security focus, so we put the new cameras in, they have better analytics, we added more cameras, we replaced the video, the call boxes for the secure entry, and then we added with, well, mostly Barton Mallow, replaced the PA systems at Cherokee and Clinton Valley Elementary School. A lot of the stuff we did was behind the scenes, so nothing you can really see to look at, but it's what makes the network reliable and provides transition and, you know, so that the kids and the staff have a reliable network. So we replaced the access points in all the buildings. We added more access points, updated servers, updated switches, firewalls, archiving, backups. And again, like I said, we're currently doing the voice servers district-wide when we get those in. In addition to the bond projects, we've been able to purchase items for special services, CTE, community relations. And I'm going to hand it back to the Barton Mallow guys for any questions.
Thank you, Angie. This will be put up on the district website after tonight. We wanted you to be able to see it first before it went on to posted on the website, so you'll have a copy if you wanted to look at anything on there, anything specific. You'll see the detail on there. But we're open here for questions if you have it. If not, we're happy to have the chance to give you a little update of what went on this summer and let you turn it over to the rest of your meeting.
Questions by the board?
I have a question. You said when you were looking to redesign the media centers, you said you're looking to get away from books. How is everything, right now, you can look up the books, and that's a big thing. How is everything that's going to be provided on the computers or whatever you do? Is it going to be in a file, or how's anybody going to be able to know what's being viewed and read? And
Yeah, so the books will still be there. There'll still be a place for the books in the media center. Right now, they're up against the wall. They'll be still off to the side. But what we're trying to do is claim some of the other space that's in that media center where we can clear out an old piece of cabinetry or a spot where the kids used to pull books from and give them a spot to be able to go sit there to do other things. So the books will still be part of the media center, but they start to purge out those books that haven't been read in 10 years. They're starting to disclutter what those are. So it's going to be a balance of both. I mean, there still will be some opportunity to get those books out of there.
So this isn't going to be something like, for instance, getting away from reading a book and going to a Kindle, something like that. This is going to be, the books will still be there, they're being read, and the space will be for other things.
Correct. It'll be more, there'll be like I call it a McDonald's booth, a space where you can go have 4 kids sit down. They'll have a monitor there with them, a couple walls on either side. They can go down there and do a group project to put something together, put together a report collaboratively. Or if you just have one kid that wants to sit down there and do that kind of project on their own. What we're going to lose some of those individual chairs and tables, those old clunky giant wood tables and chairs that are really tough to move around and do stuff with and really uncomfortable to sit at for long periods of time. So it'll encourage kids to go down there and spend more time down there in a more comfortable environment.
One thing I know is a concern, trying to think of which school, I think it was actually Dakota, but I hear it might be at both of them. The open house or whatever it was, walked into Dakota's media center, and I'm not kidding, it was literally like an oven. And the people that work in there said, oh no, that's the way it is all the time. And you couldn't not sweat. It was like walking into a sauna. Is there anything we're gonna do to try and address that?
That isn't part of this scope, but Scott and I can follow up on that to find out if there's something that is not functioning properly. I don't know if, that's the first I've heard of that being a mechanical issue there, but we'll look into that and find out if that's just a maintenance thing, or maybe it's part of what we did do. We didn't dwell into it, but we did do a lot of mechanical work there behind the scenes at Dakota this year. A lot of valves had to be replaced, valves that were stuck, they weren't operating properly, so it could have been a night where that mechanical equipment was running, but it just wasn't giving cooling to that space.
See, and I'm not sure it's a mechanical thing, it might just be a structural thing where the windows are, I don't know.
Yeah,
I walked in and I was really surprised, I'm thinking, well, that's why maybe kids don't like to use it.
That would make it uncomfortable, yes.
Who wants to read a book in a sauna, right? So.
Yeah, and both high schools are similar. They both have a lot of skylight,
Yeah.
a lot of natural light coming in there, which is nice, but it does create some heat. But yeah, we'll see if there's maybe a mechanical issue there that we can get into,
Okay.
and we'll follow up with you.
Other questions by the board?
Actually, I do have, I guess, 2 other things. Some of the repairs being done, have we thought about going and looking at our building trades to see if those classes can do some of them? Some of the light roofing and things, I know the industrial roofing, but I mean like the one concession stand at Dakota. It's a basic roof. I mean, is there something that they could have done or something like that?
We did try that. We did explore that avenue because we thought it'd be a great project for them. But based on their requirements, and I'm not 100% familiar with what the CTE requirements are, but they didn't have enough students that were of age that could do it safely to make it an effective project. It would have taken them forever, and they were already off into their summer and gone for the summer, so they couldn't finish it. So, yeah, it is great. I mean, it's great if you can do that. It just, sometimes it doesn't work out logistically for what you want to do. They can't put in a full 8-hour day, 5 days in a row doing that stuff. It takes away from the rest of their studies.
Okay, and you made a comment, something about of age, so I'm thinking insurance comes into play and stuff like that, maybe?
It was either insurance or they had to be at a certain level of their class. I can't remember what the restriction was, and
Okay.
I don't know if Scott might know a little more what we bumped into there, but it was, there was.
There were some OSHA restrictions.
Okay, yeah, we can't, our insurance limits us to anybody under 18 can't do work for us, but obviously the district might have different qualifications, but there was something there. We tried to work with the building trades teacher to see if there was something that they could do, and it wouldn't work out with what we needed to.
Okay. And I guess one other question regarding Ottawa. There's a lot of changes there, and I was actually there the other day, and everybody's being moved around, the teachers, they're making it work, but it's not like the best scenario. Have we actually looked into, instead of doing maybe that kind of work or something, just putting an addition? Because it is one of the smaller schools. Seems to be getting to be one of the schools that has the most increase in students. Have we looked into something like that, just putting an addition on someplace instead of trying to remodel the whole inside?
We did, actually, back, and I can't remember what year it was, whenever it went to all-day kindergarten, whatever the state changed that guidelines to get max funding, we did explore that opportunity back then due to Ottawa to add more space there, because we thought we'd be pushed back then. So it's not easy, because that building, the way it's just laid out, there's no logical spot to add a corridor to extend it. But it is feasible. It's just the cost would be quite a bit higher. And I don't think the bond dollars would allow you to, because your ballot language doesn't talk about additions. There's certain language you have to have in your ballot that would allow you to do it. You don't have that language in this current bond issue to allow you to build additions, so it'd have to be funded for something outside the bond. And I'm not sure where those funds would come from to do that.
Okay, I think that's it.
Any other questions? Okay, I guess we're good. Thank you very much for your presentation this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item D, general consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the general consent agenda? Moved by Mr. Pearl,
Support.
supported by Mrs. Pyden. Anything board would like to remove, pull aside, discussion about on the general consent agenda?
I guess I would have to comment on the approval of minutes. In the minutes, it says that I made a comment about, I was concerned about attendance, meeting attendance, and I guess the bottom line was, if we can change that, or what we have to do, or at least put it on the record, that my concern wasn't about meeting attendance, it was about specifically only certain people being allowed to go to board, district business, and other ones are not, I guess. So, I mean, that's what my concern was. It wasn't about meeting attendance. It was about only certain board members, without others being attacked, being able to go to certain meetings.
Do you want to put like opportunities or some kind of wording like that in there?
Well, it's not an opportunity. I mean, it's just, if a board member wants to go to a business meeting, everybody should be able to go, not just one person be able to go and the other one says no. So either we should all be invited, or we should all, if we just come up and say we want to, we should be able to go to something like that, so.
Would you want to get with Ms. Adlam and correct that wording on that?
Yeah, I can
So why don't
correct
we pull that out for the,
Okay.
with the exception of that, the rest of the minutes will
Yeah.
include. Okay, very good. Any other board members? Objections? Okay, so with that, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Motion passes. We have, Ms. Pyden, some,
We do. We have one retirement this evening, and unfortunately, she is not with us. Whereas Sally Keenan has served the Chippewa Valley School District faithfully and diligently for a period of 16 years as an at-will and food service employee. Whereas Sally Keenan, through her leadership, has had a positive impact on the staff, students, and the community. Whereas Sally Keenan, a conscientious, loyal, hardworking employee, has elected to retire, and whereas Sally Keenan will be missed by all her school colleagues. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Chippewa Valley School District, not only on their behalf, but also that of the Superintendent of Schools and the administration, extend their thanks and appreciation for a job well done, as well as best wishes for the future. Be it further resolved that this resolution, having been adopted by the Board of Education of the Chippewa Valley School District on the 12th day of September 2022, be made a permanent part of the records of this school district, and a copy sent to Sally Keenan as an expression of our appreciation.
okay, thank you. I wish her all the best and happy and safe retirement. All right, moving on to E, old business. There is none this evening. F, new business. F1, approved personal transaction, hire of an administrator, director of food and nutrition services, Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Bednard. Just before I read that, we do have a teacher that was hired under the consent agenda this evening, and I just was curious if she's here or not. Kristen Hart, is Kristen here? Okay. Well, she's a kindergarten teacher, and she just started last week, and if you're a kindergarten teacher who just started last week, she's probably still in her classroom, so I understand completely why Kristen isn't here, so So recommended motion regarding the food and nutrition services position. Recommended motion that the Chippewa Valley Schools Board of Education approve the hire of Mr. Daniel Connors to the position of Director of Food and Nutrition Services. Mr. Connors' effective start date will be October 3rd, 2022.
Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Pearl,
Support.
supported by Ms. Pyden. Rationale?
Mr. Connors is being hired to fill a vacancy created by a resignation, and he meets all the qualifications listed on the posting.
Questions or comments by the board?
I have a comment about that. Part of his resume has been redacted. Who redacted that and why?
I don't know anything about that.
There was one word.
Well, no, it was two.
Okay, two
Actually,
words.
we don't know if it was a word. It was two areas that were redacted.
I
was
do
just
not
wondering
know.
why that's being kept from us.
Is that it?
It's in the, pardon me? It was in the confidential. Pardon me? Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. There'd be no reason why it was redacted. There was nothing redacted by our office.
Okay.
I was actually impressed by the resume.
It is a, well, I'll wait to speak until we get through the vote part, but yeah, it's an in-depth resume. A lot of
And it could
experience.
be. The only thing is sometimes a couple words can make a whole difference, so that's why I was curious.
Reading too much into that.
A lot of people do that nowadays.
It was like pages of,
While Ms. Edlin is obtaining that document for us, is there any other questions regarding this hire? Comments?
So as we wait for that, we do have a whole list of teachers that I just did not even notice that were in tonight's consent agenda. Are there any teachers in this room who were hired? So, oh my gosh. So I apologize. I looked to one that was written a little differently. So do we want to do this while we look at that, or are we ready to, are you ready to?
Do we have the document?
We're in the middle of two things here, sorry.
So let's finish,
Why don't we finish what's on the floor?
yeah, let's finish it
Motion,
first.
and
Yeah.
then we'll move on.
All right.
What's redacted, or what is blacked out, is seeking a position with Chippewa Valley Schools as the food service the director for food and nutrition services. That's what was redacted out of it. I'm not sure why that's redacted. Sometimes when documents are loaded into our system as a Word document, they do have a tendency to the font to change differently. I have noticed that sometimes spacing and lines get switched up. I don't know if this was that type of an issue. Again, all relevant processes as it relates to hiring Mr. Connors, up to this point have been followed. References have been glowing. From my perspective and my department's perspective, we'd have no concerns as it relates to this.
Okay.
Just to be clear, so it was saying Director of Food and Nutritional Services for Chippewa Valley Schools, and now it just says like Chippewa Valley Schools Director or something? I mean,
Yes, when you look at the objective, in the first paragraph of the resume, typically you state what position you're applying for, and that little segment's just blacked out.
Okay.
It's just blacked out.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments before we vote? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion passes. Mr. Roberts, I don't know if Mr. Connors is here.
Yes, first let's welcome Mr. Connors. If you would like to come to the microphone. Thank you for being here this evening, and if you could be in the food service office tomorrow morning, we'd appreciate that, but we know you have to finish at your other job. Anyways, I would like to say about Mr. Connors, he really has an excellent resume. He has years of experience in things, not only in the food service area of public schools, but also working for private vendors and also working in private business. So, I mean, he has a just in-depth, much experience, and I know he understands what we do in public schools, because that's what he does right now, so we're excited to have him here. So welcome to Chippewa Valley Schools, and if you would like to say a few words, please feel
Thank you.
free to
I'd
do
like to
so.
thank the board and Superintendent Roberts for the opportunity. Yes, I've been around the block a couple of times, you could say. I look forward for the new challenges that will come up, because in food service, there's always challenges. So my goal is to make every stakeholder proud of the food service department, and hopefully the kids will enjoy the food. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Okay, so welcome, Daniel, to Chippewa Valley Schools. Can I now go back and
Yes,
kind of
please.
cover my tracks and what I missed the first time around? So we have some teachers in here that are new. So maybe if we could just start, if you could just maybe stand up. Who's ever a new teacher, we can go one at a time. That's good. There's our first one. Tell us your name, please, and where you're teaching.
Hi, I'm Jessica Scriani, and I teach at Ottawa 5th grade.
All right, congratulations and welcome to Chippewa Valley. And right there, great.
Hello, I'm Carla DeBoard. I'm over at Shawnee this year, teaching a 3-4 blend.
All right, thank you. And there we go.
Hi, I'm Emily Kolchak. I'm teaching kindergarten at Ojibwa.
All right. And I know you two would prefer to be in your classroom right now, but you came here for this, so that's great. Welcome. Next.
Hi, I'm Megan Berlin, and I'm teaching 4th grade at Sequoia.
All right. Are there others? Okay, well, congratulations to all of you that are, here tonight as new hires. We're happy to have you, and welcome to Chippewa Valley. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay.
Let's do the next business. So if we could do the next business item and finish that section of the agenda, we'll do some pictures with our new hires.
Okay.
Okay? And then that's a good break in the agenda. So don't leave yet, please. We're going to do some photos.
Okay, move on to F2, approve cooperative bid award for stadium scoreboards. Mr. Sutherland.
The recommended motion is that the Chippewa Valley Schools Board of Education approve a contract award to Daktronics, Inc. in the amount of $525,548 for the purchase of 2 high school stadium electronic and video scoreboards utilizing the Omnia Partners Bid Cooperative Program.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Pro,
Support.
support by Mr. Vojtovich. Rationale, please.
Aggressive pricing was obtained through the Omnia Partners R220601 bid cooperative contract, of which Chippewa Valley Schools is a member. This recommendation was approved by the Building and Site Subcommittee on September 12th, 2022, and funding will come from the 2018 Building and Site Fund for this purchase.
Okay. Questions or comments by the board?
I have a question.
Ms. Pyden.
So we have a 5-year warranty on parts, correct?
Correct.
So during that time, a couple questions, do we know any projections on whether this company will go out of business? And 2, whether this technology will be obsolete?
We reviewed that. and The company's been around for over 25 years.
Okay,
They have installed a lot of scoreboards, probably 50% in Michigan is what we were told.
okay,
Scoreboards, including some at our middle schools recently.
okay. And because, I mean, $500,000 is a lot of money. And we seem to have bought some real junk last time. And so I guess I just want some assurances that this is
We
going to
actually,
be superior than what we have.
we grilled them for quite a long time.
Okay,
I can't guarantee, but it's going to
Correct.
be better than what we have, and.
Well,
it's a-
anything
it's
would
a
be.
Mi- Right, it's a Michigan-based company.
Okay.
Not Florida-based.
Uh-huh.
And I think that'll be very helpful, too.
okay. I do as well.
questions or comments by the board? Hearing none. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we'll do a quick break to do the pictures, and then we'll
So
continue
what
on.
we'll do with pictures is we'll start with Mr. Connors, and then we do those, and then we'll bring up the 4 teachers, and we'll do that, so. So, Mr. Connors, we're going to meet you right out there.
No, mine's usually.
I was gonna tell Ken. I won't be here.
I got you.
Nope, it's me. Busy goofing off. Paying attention. I mean, it's called out for you,
Huh? Oh, God.
Okay, moving on to G. Okay. Move on to G from the community. I have a couple of slips here. First one will be Mr. Stanley Shipley. Good evening.
Good evening. I feel the need to call for a little accountability. Frankly, Mr. Bednard, I'm surprised you are at a meeting again. I thought you weren't going to come back, given that you committed a 5-year federal felony perpetrated against parents in this district. The Department of Justice email that you sent included materially false statements about one parent in particular and a group of parents or Moms for Liberty. Now, when you make a statement, a false statement to federal law enforcement with the purpose of getting them to investigate people, that's a federal felony. It's a 5-year felony. Frankly, I think you should resign. I would also like to ask Mr. Roberts, because you were CC'd on this or it was forwarded to you, did you advise Mr. Bednard that it was ill-advised to make a false statement to federal law enforcement? Did you respond saying, you know what, these statements aren't true, and you shouldn't slander or, I guess, defame parents of this community? To be clear on the record, Mr. Bednard sent an email to the Department of Justice claiming that parents threatened other members of the community, which was a lie. He claimed one parent in particular who spoke at the meetings didn't have a student in the district, which is a lie. He claimed that she has been going around making threats at board meetings in the Tri-County area, which is just a facially absurd statement. What kind of time do you think she has on her hands? And the rest of the board, he represented you in this email. He said, we know she's been going around to the Tri-County area. So he made these false statements on your behalf. Now, Mr. Witovich, you took official action against him because he observed a drill, but you haven't taken any actions against a member who committed a 5-year federal felony perpetrated against parents of this community. I would like to know if you're going to do so, or if it's all just partisan nonsense. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments this evening. Next up, I have Mr. Bruce Wade.
I'm going to relinquish my time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we're all set. All right. Okay. Next up, H, Union Communications. Is there any leadership from the unions that I'd like to comment this evening? Okay, thank you. I, Administrative Reports. Mr. Roberts?
Yeah, I do, I would like to address the opening of school this year. I guess I would like to start kind of at the beginning of how schools are prepared to be opened, and I would like to recognize our custodial staff. I've been in most buildings prior to the start of school and some right after school started, and the cleanliness is phenomenal under very difficult circumstances. As you know, we have a few positions open, and regardless of that, our custodial staff continues to work hard every single day. I also want to recognize the building administration and clerical staff and student registration who work hard. Our central registration works hard all summer getting kids in and helping parents to complete the proper forms in order to get kids enrolled and in school and on time. And then our building administration and clerical staff work very hard starting in the middle of August. I'd like to recognize our teaching staff. They start school a few days before the kids actually come, but they are in their classrooms long before that, making preparations. So I'd like to thank our teaching staff for their hard work. And finally, always does a phenomenal job under difficult circumstances in Macomb County, Clinton and Macomb Township, is transportation. Just going around all the obstacles that the road department puts up for us at the beginning of September. And I'm not knocking them, it's just the way it happens. I mean, they have their schedules and their challenges, so that's not a knock on them. It just seems to be the way it happens. And just to recognize our transportation department for the hard work that they do. That's it for administration reports, other than welcoming our new teachers, who mostly have left, and Daniel, who has also left. And then can I roll this to curriculum updates, please? Is that okay? We'll go right to curriculum updates, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Brodsky.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Good evening, board members. The district is required by the state to inform you and the community at a Board of Education meeting about our strategy for a successful and safe return to school. Last week, you were provided Chippewa Valley's return to in-person instruction and continuity of services plan. The plan was developed by Chippewa Valley schools and districts across Macomb County with the guidance from the Macomb County Health Department. Purpose of the plan is to ensure the health and safety of students and staff in Chippewa Valley. So here's a brief overview of the plan. For the 2022-2023 school year, we will continue to prioritize full in-person teaching and learning that provides the greatest benefit to students. In-person instruction is currently taking place in grades pre-K through 12. There are no restrictions on the number of students in a group, and social distancing measures are not required. Extracurricular activities may occur as scheduled. Staff or students are not required to be vaccinated. Normal food service operations will occur and are occurring. District offices and buildings are open daily for normal school business. Normal transportation operations are going on and will continue. Athletic practices and competitions are currently up and running. Athletic testing will not be required unless mandated by the MHSAA, a local or state agency or sanctioning body. The district will follow current guidance and requirements of the Macomb County Health Department if there is an instance where isolation is necessary. Masks are encouraged but not required after an isolation period. The district has a virtual option for students in grade 9 through 12, only for those who enrolled during the spring. And parents and guardians should conduct a daily student wellness check prior to sending students to school. Students who are unable to attend in person due to testing positive for COVID-19 will have to isolate and would be able to live stream. Finally, the district will keep up to date with any local, state, and/or federal mandates or orders. We'll be posting this plan on the District Transparency website this week, and in 6 months, I'll be back to review the plan at a future Board of Education meeting. My team and I are happy to answer any questions you may have about this. Thanks. Thank you.
I have one question.
Yeah.
The habit to report every 6 months, is there a time limit on that, or is it just going to go on until somebody says different?
We're going to be following whatever the state has asked us to do. Now, this report in 6 months, if there are no changes, then it will be a very short report. We really report only if there are changes that occur. But then we'll find out from the Michigan Department of Education and the state on how far we'll be continuing to go with this.
But I mean, as of right now, they haven't put a deadline on it, or not a deadline, but a time limit saying for the next year or 2 years or?
At this point, no, this year for sure. So you figure the next presentation will be in March, so that we'll be closing up the year in a few months later. But then we'll wait for guidance from the state on that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments by the board? Okay. All right, so you don't need a motion, do we do, Mr. Roberts, for that? That's the state report?
No,
Okay,
just needs to make the
sharing that with
report.
us. Okay. All right, moving on to item K, oven by board. Board members, Mr. Wojtovich, we'll start with you. Is there anything you'd like to share with the board? Or?
Yeah, sure I do. Microphone on, there we go. I just have one thing here, if I can find it. I guess we received a notice saying there's going to be a security assessment in the district by a private company. I guess I'd like to know, who, when, and I'd like to be involved with that. So, as far as the assessment on security. That's pretty much it.
I guess, a number of years back, is this the same company? Well, go ahead, Ron.
No, this is, and this is not finalized. We met last week. The state is making money available for security assessments at school, at school buildings across the state of Michigan. We had a Zoom conference call with a company who does this, who also works in other districts locally. Nothing's been finalized, but once we move a little further with this, if the board would like, we could have this company do a presentation to the board, and most likely that would be via Zoom. They're based in Grand Rapids, but they could do that if that's what the board would like. They do the assessments, but I mean, if the board would like to have more information on exactly what they do, I mean, we'll have things to give you and more to say, but it's always your option to hear directly from the company. So We can keep that in mind as we go forward, and I'll keep you informed of where we are in the process.
Are there assessments done virtually or on-site?
No, they visit all buildings.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, I'd like to be involved with that, just to see what they have to say as they're looking at it. So,
We'll talk to them about that.
okay.
Okay, George, anything?
Just thanks to all the staff and administrators and students and parents for successful opening of our schools this year, and wishing everybody a happy and safe school year. Thanks.
Okay, Denise?
I'm
Yeah, turn your
sorry
mic
I was
on.
late. Oh, I'm sorry I was late. I had a medical thing I had to go to. I just wanted to say welcome back to the school year. I think the year began really positively, at least from what I saw when I was at the schools. I'd like to just also share that there's a young man that has been battling cancer from Mohawk Elementary for the last 2 years. His name is Landon, and I checked with the principal before school starts, and she told me that he was going to be able to come in person to regular school for the first time in 2 years. And so I just wanted to share that. Hope everybody keeps him in his prayers, and I hope he can stay in person because it's been a big struggle for him. So that just, I wanted to have a positive thing to talk about. So anyway, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Pearl?
Yes, thank you. New microphones here. Yeah, I just want to wish everybody we have a great year. I did see that the buildings were cleaned up very well. I appreciate that, and I hope that we can hire more staff to fill the positions that are still vacant. But I think we're going to have a great year, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Mrs. Pyden?
Well, of course, I echo the sentiments of everyone, especially Ms. Aquino. But when we were kind of recognizing the people who started off the school year, unfortunately, I think Dr. Blanchard was missed because filling all the positions and, encouraging people to choose Chippewa when there are so many employment options out there today is a monstrous task. And, he has ensured that our classrooms are filled and is constantly working to find more employees, which I know I'm grateful for, and I'm sure our community is as well.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? Okay, that includes oven by the board. Let's move on to executive session, item L. Need a roll call vote to move into executive session. Motion by Mr. Pearl and supported by Ms. Aquino. Executive session, to consider dismissal, suspension, or disciplining of, or to hear complaints or charges brought against, or to consider a periodic personnel evaluation. Can we have a roll call vote, please, Ms. Pyden, to go
Sure.
into executive session?
Mr. Pearl?
Yes.
Ms. Aquino?
Yes.
Mr. Bednard?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Soba?
Yes.
Mr. Vojtovich?
Yes.
Ayes all, and we are going into executive session at 7:34.
Okay. Thank you for coming, everybody. We will be coming into open session to end the meeting. We have 2 executive sessions to take care of right now, so it'll be a little bit, but we will be back to close the meeting, so, in open session. Okay. All right, we're back in open session at 8:51. 31, my bad. 8:31. So next up, we have another executive session on our agenda. It's going to be item L, executive session for consider dismissal, suspension, disciplining of, which are here.
C, it's negotiation.
Okay, my bad. This will be item M, executive session, 8C, negotiations. So moved by Mr. Pearl. Supported by Mr. Sobal. Roll call vote. Ms. Pyden, please.
Mr. Pearl?
Yes.
Mr. Soba?
Yes.
Ms. Aquino?
Yes.
Mr. Bednard?
Yes.
Myself, I abstain. Mr. Vojtovich?
Yes.
And we are going into executive session at 8:33 PM.
Okay, good.
Okay, we are out of executive session at 9:28.
No, you, Ginny.
9:28, we are out of executive session. I need a motion to adjourn. Moved by Ms. Aquino,
Support.
supported by Mr. Sobal. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Meeting's over, 9:29. Thank you, everybody.